Hi, how's everybody doing? Okay, so I do this because I have two young kids and they're 4 and 6, and I don't think that they think that like I have a real life. They think that I'm just their mom. And so I always tell them that what I'm gonna do today, and they're always like, "Oh, Mom, you're gonna do so well. You're gonna do great." So here's the thing: I don't know how I'm gonna do. So what I need y'all to do right now is I need you to stand up, and I need you to give me like a really, really big woo for my boys in case I fall flat on my face. Can we do that? All right. Can we do it? Can we get the energy going? Y'all ready? 1, 2, 3. I know who my fun table is right here. Thank y'all for that. So hopefully I can live up to your expectation because it sounds like I did pretty well. So we'll start. So my name is Anna Kalinsky. I'm going to get to know you guys today. We're going to get a little philosophical first, and then we're going to get a little tactical. Coming off the heels of Greg, I don't know where he slipped off. He did a really great job to pass the baton to me, kind of teeing up some topics. We didn't coordinate. We're going to talk a lot about leverage. We're going to talk about how we make our life easier. And we're going to talk just a little bit about kind of who we are, right? What I love about this group and what I will always say is like, God, realtors are like the best looking crowd. You guys are so good looking. Isn't that good? Flattery, does that get me anywhere? All right, so let me make sure I've got my stuff up here. So thank you for the introduction. Anthony's been great putting this together. Jordan, thank you so much for having me today. I'm really grateful to be here. I'll tell you just a little bit about me before we jump into this. So I've been in the real estate industry since 2008. I think was my first sale, $64,000 foreclosure. The paperwork was this thick. It felt easy, right? And I didn't know what I didn't know. And 15 years later, I'm running a tiny but mighty team. We've got 14 really awesome individuals, nine salespeople, 4.5 operations people. And they keep me sane. They allow me to do the things that I want to do in my life and raise the family that I have. So today we're going to talk about how do we create a life that also allows counterbalance, because, let me see if I can learn how to work this. Do I just press the green thing? That's the pointer. She's smart, they say. Do I just press the arrow? Does that work? It worked! It worked. Okay, well, hold on. So I do want to just say this. Okay, so this right here is not my house. We had our grand opening for our real estate office. I bought a building, thinking about Greg, investing in real estate, using my real estate credentials to buy a building, 10% down, SBA, finance the entire property, all the renovations, moved my team in there, have tenants in the bottom that cover my mortgage, and I write off the note that my business pays to me personally as an expense of my P&L. That is an awesome, awesome opportunity. We had the grand opening on Saturday. Gary Keller, I'm a big fangirl, so if y'all don't know who he is. And then this is our team just collaborating. I think that leverage is really important in this business. And so I think based on how many hands were raised of being in the business 10, 15 years, a lot of times we can get really burnt out and exhausted in this business. And it's really easy to feel like you're always starting over, right? January 1 comes and you're just like, crap, I got to do this all over again. Well, the idea that we're going to talk about today is to literally just stop giving up, right? You either can lean into something or you can stay the same. And we're never going to stay the same because that means we're just retreating. So today we're going to talk about not giving up and leaning in. Y'all know what this is because it's you. You're eating in your car half the week, if not more. Become a realtor. It'll be fun, they say. So I want to just a show of hands. Hopefully my friend won't distract y'all too much. I don't think he's going to turn off anytime soon. Show of hands. Who in here would you say works, plus or minus 40 hours a week? Yeah. Yeah, I remember my first part-time job too, right? Okay, we don't work 40 hours a week. We work all the time, right? It's really hard to fit what we do into our lives and have a big life, have a family, and also try to stay sane. My guess is if you're in this room, you're a top producer, right? If you've sold more than $2 million worth of real estate annually, you are the CEO of a multi-million-dollar company. You guys get that? Do you run your business like that? Do you wear that hat? That's a pretty big job title. So today I'm going to ask you guys a lot of questions. I'm going to ask you to do a lot of writing because I'm going to give you some homework. I'm not sure if you've read the book, The Road Less Stupid by Keith Cunningham. Has anybody read that? Yeah, it's solid, right? We're reading that with our team right now. It's a really good book for business ownership. But he has this concept called thinking time. And I know as realtors, we don't spend a lot of time thinking because we're constantly doing. We don't typically spend the time to get up, to reflect on the things that we want and create a plan for the life that we want. So just so I can get a read on the room, just you guys can let me know who you are with like a woo or something like that, okay? You got into the business for real estate because you wanted to make your own schedule. Yeah, okay. You wanted to be your own boss. Okay. You had an unexpressed love for Georgia crawl spaces. Nobody? You wanted to work from home in your PJs, maybe with no pants on. Yeah? Okay. Just trying to see who my audience is. So the idea is that we all got into this business thinking that we were going to run the show. The reality is, if you've been doing this long enough, for most of us, we don't run anything. Our clients, our transactions, all the hurdles that come along with being a realtor, that runs our lives because we haven't set up any boundaries. So how can we expect to serve more clients, change more lives, build more wealth through real estate, and live the life that we're supposed to live while wearing all these hats? Somewhere along the way, we've adopted the idea that we have to do it all and that we keep continuing to do that. So we need to adopt the mindset today that who we are in this business who we are in the business is to expand who we get to work with in the lives that we get to impact. So maybe you guys served 15 families last year. Maybe it was 30. Have you ever asked the question, what gifts am I being stingy with? Like, what gifts do you have that you're constantly reserving, that you're not putting out into the world to impact more people? What if you 10x that? What if you went from 15 or 30 families helped a year to 150 or 300 families a year? You guys even think you can? I think you can. But the reality is we're playing really stingy with our gifts. But sometimes we don't understand how to give that to more people. So we're going to talk today about how do we 10x that. So the reason I have my friend the groundhog up here is because I had somebody who was very influential in my life. His name is Bob Kalinsky. It's my dad. Asked me about 7 years ago. He goes, "How long have you been in this business, babe?" And at the time, I think it was like 8 years. So I said, "Dad, I've been in the business 8 years." He goes, "That's interesting. Have you been in the business 8 years, or have you been in the business 1 year 8 times?" Yeah, I felt that too, right? And that was a big door unlocked for me because what happens is on January 1, Board of Realtors collects all your numbers. Anthony reaches out, figures out if you're going to make it in the publication, but you go back to 0. And every time we wake up, we think, gosh, we have to hit the ground running, and we do the same thing on repeat every day. But what is the opportunity cost of this for us in our lives? So as realtors, or if you're coming off the heels of Greg talking about ROI in our business, realtors talk about ROI, return on investment. But do you ever think about the energy in the world that you put out and the return on your energy? Do you ever think in terms of return on energy? The tasks that you do, the relationships that you're in, they all have a cost. It's like a small leak in your gas tank, your energy gas tank. And you know what I'm talking about. I'm talking about that client that you're thinking about right now. The one that you can't get through the ATAC with. I'm talking about that employee that feels like you're dragging them with you. You know what I'm talking about. So why aren't we talking about return on energy versus how we spend our money? Because time is a resource we cannot get more of. So my goal from this conversation today is not only to help you do more production, but for you to have a better ROI on your time and a better ROE on your energy. So I've got 2 young kids. I mentioned this. Who's got kids in here? Yeah, oh wow. pretty much the entire room. Congratulations, you guys are tired. So I don't know how old they are, but can we make the agreement that their littleness just evaporates? So I'm celebrating my 9th anniversary today, and that flew by. My oldest is going to be 7 in May, and I literally feel like I spent the first 6 years of his life just being all in on real estate. And then I thought about this whole concept of return on energy and the fact that their lives are fleeting and the fact that they're growing up so quickly. And, you know, I've been a top producer, and I'm grateful for that. I have a lot of people that support me to get there. But then I thought about it, and I was like, gosh, do I want to be #1 real estate agent, or do I want to be #1 mom? And I had to get really clear on that. But if you know me at all, you'll know that I don't want to have to choose, and I want both. So today, we're going to kind of balance that out. How do we accomplish being both? So Jordan mentioned that I took 3 months off last year. That was not in a row. I did take 1 month off. Took my whole family to Idaho and Montana and Wyoming for a month. It was incredible. And I was able to do that because I had some amazing people to support me back home. I also have been out of production in sales for over 2 years. And our company net more money in profit in 2022 than we did when I was actually selling real estate. So I don't know what that says about me as a realtor, but I'm really proud of them. We were also just awarded the #1 Keller Williams team in Georgia. My point is it is possible through other people. The idea that I held on to, which was my clients only need to work with me. They want Anna K. My name's on the door. I only actually had one person call my office and they asked for Miss Intown. And it didn't really matter who showed up. People are not attached to you. They're attached to an experience and a standard that you replicate. I want to say that again. People are not attached to you. They are attached to an experience and a standard that you can replicate. And if you can put your finger on what that is and document that and make it scalable, then you actually have a business that's worth having. Otherwise, we just get up every day and we're going to go to work and we're going to sell homes and we're going to show homes until we're in our grave. So, let me go back to that. This feels probably philosophical, but, you know, Jordan said, you've never been in the same river twice. And maybe nobody's ever asked you this question, but I've been asked this question a few times. And it didn't really mean anything to me at the time. And then one time I was sitting in a room with Gary Keller and his mastermind. And the very first question that this billionaire asked to this room of top producing people blew me away. In fact, I didn't hear anything he said for the next 48 hours. He asked the question, who are you? And I was like, what the hell does that mean? I'm Anna, I live in Atlanta, I'm a mommy, I'm a realtor. Like, I just went through all the things. I'm from Metairie, Louisiana. Like, I like to booty dance. Like, all the things, right? Like, I went through all the things. And he says, those are your labels. It's not who you are. Take away all your labels. Take away all the tags that you have in your database about who you are, about you. That is not who you are. Who you are is something that when you strip all those things, it's the underlying energy that exists, okay? So we have to get crystal clear on who we are and what we value. Otherwise, we cannot become aligned with what it is that we were doing and how we make decisions about what we will do in our lives. So think about this. If you take away all those titles, are you an educator? Are you a connector? Are you an integrator? Are you a powerful energy that when people are in your presence, they become more? Who are you? And I want you to write that down because this is going to be some of your homework. I think this question is probably one of the most important things you can ask yourself because it will become a part of your decision-making algorithm to the things that you say yes and no to, the things that you choose to spend your energy on, and where you will put your time on the line. The other thing that you need to get really crystal clear on is what do you value? For those of you that have kids, I want you to think about what words or pictures they would draw on your tombstone. I know that's really kind of morbid, right? I heard a story once that this mother asked that of her children, and one of her kids drew a cell phone. And that was a big wake-up call, no pun intended, for me, right? I don't want that. Are you always on your phone? Are you present with your most important assets? And I don't mean your rental property. Think about it. So what do we value, right? So can you start building a life that makes these things true? So what words would you want them to put? What words would you want them to draw? What pictures would that be? Do you work for money? Write that down. Do you work for money? How do you know? If you had enough, you'd stop. Why are you working so hard? Do you have any clarity around that? When is enough enough? And do you know what enough is? What does the end vision of your business look like? Have you thought about what that end picture looks like? And what is it that you actually need to control? In your relationships, in your business, what are the things that we are holding on to? And what are the things that you don't need to control, but you're such a control freak like me that you refuse to give them up? Everybody has that little voice. Oh. What's the end vision of your business? What is it that you need control over? And what do you not need control over that you continue to hold on to? We good? So we got into this business to have freedom, to make our own schedule, to be our own bosses, and yet we don't have that, right? Consider that freedom is in direct proportion to your ability to leverage and to exhibit discipline. It's in direct proportion to your ability to leverage and your ability to use discipline. All right, so how do we know when it's time to leverage? How do I get out of the way? When is it time for me to remove myself? What is my use by date in the categories in which I no longer thrive, okay? When your quality of service or your quality of life starts to suffer, you need to move out the way. Point blank. If you are the only person that can do something, and you've shackled yourself to having your clients run the show, your flyers run the show, your listing input run the show, your tenants run the show. If you cannot get out from under it and you're the only person that can do the thing, you will constantly be shackled to the idea that you will never have that counterbalance. So saying yes to something means saying no to something else. Again, that goes with your ROE. And I'm going to tell you what my decision-making algorithm is, so maybe you guys can spend time in your thinking time to kind of go through, decide, like, what is that for you? So leverage doesn't just have to be in business. This could be in the personal life. Do you value mowing your lawn all weekend? Or do you value taking your kids on an adventure in the woods? You've got to decide, right? Do you value getting more sellers the most money possible? Or do you value running around dropping flyers and lockboxes? You have to choose. When you are crystal clear on your values, you will be really crystal clear on how to make decisions. So my yes-no algorithm is pretty simple. It must be principled for me, meaning it must be in alignment with whatever my higher self is, but it must fulfill 3 out of the 4 of the words on top. Does it give me freedom? Can I do what I want, when I want, with whom I want, how often I want? That's freedom. Is it exciting or adventurous? Is it achievement-oriented? And is it impactful? Now, robbing a bank is all 4 of those top for me, but it is not principled. So therefore, I won't rob a bank. So you have to decide, what are the things that you value? What are the things that you will say yes or no to because of the algorithm that you've aligned for yourself? Okay? The other quick way that I think about, will I do something or will I leverage it, is, does it make me money or does it bring me joy? And if the answer is no, those are the things that I'm getting off my plate. So leverage, let's talk about, how do we leverage? How do we tactically move towards a decision-making algorithm that allows us to have counterbalance in our life, that gives us the fulfillment of why we got into this business in the first place, which was to be our own boss, make our own schedule, make as much money as we can, and be super freaking happy, right? That's at least why we got in, right? So leverage can come in the form of boundaries, systems, processes, and people. So we're going to talk about it. Do you have any questions so far? How am I doing? Will my boys be proud? All right. So this is going to be a little bit more tactical. All right, so give you a couple examples of how to make life a little easier. A boundary is a line that marks the limits of an area or scope of activity. It is a dividing line. I will do this, I won't do that, okay? You know what makes me laugh? What other industry has deadlines that end at midnight? How is that actually a thing? Who agreed on that? Like, what boardroom was like, that's a great idea, let's negotiate at 11:59 and shit our pants if we don't get the TNR. Like nobody wants that, right? Like, nobody. So, yeah, so I've had countless nights where we were down to the wire. So boundaries can come in the form of special stipulations. How do you let your contracts expire? When is your due diligence period up? Is it at 5 p.m. because you go home and you pick up your kids for soccer? Or is it at midnight? Why aren't we collectively as an industry making this easier for everyone? Amen. Right? All right. Do you guys have an autoresponder email? Does anybody work with you? Do you have anybody in your team, in your world that can help you with whatever? Does everybody that tries to reach out to you know how to get a hold of those people? I have a lot of email that comes in. I am not going to respond to it all. I just can't. We just can't, guys. Like, we have to be purposeful. And so anybody that reaches out to me, they probably don't want me. They probably want something that our team provides, and now they know how to find it. Everybody also happens to think that I'm perpetually on vacation because they always get an autoresponder. Like, I think you're out of the office, but I'm here. I just don't want to be subject to your immediate demands in my inbox. I've got other things I've got to prioritize. So do you set expectations with clients and coworkers that you reserve Sundays or Saturdays or weeknights after 6 p.m. for your family appointments? Do you have that blocked off on your calendar? Do you set the expectation that you return calls between noon and 12? Or you just call me anytime? Call me anytime. Because you're going to train these people how to operate with you, right? You take that first phone call at 11, you're screwed. Don't do it. Do you tell your sellers that if by Friday you're deciding to do a highest and best for multiple offers, which are a thing again? Can I get a woo? Yeah, multiple offers are a thing again. Are you setting the expectation where you are uploading your offer instructions for all the agents that have questions, hopefully the ones that choose to read, that you'll be responding to and looking at all offers on Monday morning when your seller's back in the office and we have a clear space to work from? Why are we creating an industry where everything is so urgent now? I understand, but you also can set the way that you run a business. You might ruffle some feathers, but guess what? Do I value hurting your feelings, or do I value time with my family on Sundays? And if I have a seller who's not willing to work with that, we're probably not a good fit. Do you time block appointments when you look at your week? Do you have exact spots on your calendar, 2 weekdays and 1 weekend, when you will take appointments for buyers or sellers? I want you to consider that creating an opportunity for scarcity will actually drive more business through your door. I only work with 5 or 6 buyers, Mr. Buyer. Just so happens that I actually just put somebody under contract yesterday. I've got a space at 3 o'clock to fill that spot. Would you like to be a prioritized buyer in my network right now? I'm available, but I only have 1 spot. Do you plan your big rocks? Who's heard the analogy of the glass jar? She's back there. She knows what I'm going to say. Glass jar, you fill it up. You stick all your sand in first. You can't put your little pebbles in your big rocks, but if you put your big rocks in first, then you fill in your medium rocks and your little rocks, and you can pour the sand on top. Well, the sand is everything else. The big rocks, if you look at this is a wall calendar that I have in my closet. So every day that I'm getting ready, I look at it and I'm, okay, so-and-so's birthday is, I have an actual calendar, but this to me tells me when am I going to be traveling with my family? When are major milestones in my life? I sit down every October and I think about my entire year in advance. This was on paper by November 1st for 2023 for all the things that I wanted to do in my life, my anniversary trip, my beach trip with my kids based on the school calendar, our ski trip, our Christmas vacation, whatever it's going to be. Those are the things that matter the most. They went in there first. Work will fill the time that you allot it. Where are my bold people? Yep. So if you just have this unending calendar available for everyone, they will fill it up and then you will wonder what happened to your life. So put your big rocks in. I put a QR code to a similar calendar. This one is not available. So if you care to buy one and stick it up in your closet, you can do that too. All right, let's talk about systems. Systems are a set of principles or procedures according to which something is done, an organized framework or method. The reason that systems are important is because they create a scalable way of you putting somebody through the process on repeat. You're not having to think, do I do it this way, do I do it that way? But a system could also be a standard, okay? Do you have a standard that you will show anybody at home that comes through your Zillow Flex, comes through your Google Voice at the drop of a hat because they want to see that thing that just hit the market? Or do you have a standard of doing a professional consult first and not showing a home to anybody without a buyer brokerage agreement, which, by the way, is illegal, just so you know. You wouldn't put a listing on the market without a listing agreement. So why are you showing buyers homes without a buyer agreement? Walk me through that. You're willing to put your time on the line for somebody who's not willing to invest in you as a professional, either because you failed to demonstrate the value or have the tough conversation. You're just hoping it's going to work out. Y'all haven't been burned enough. So do you have a standard as to deciding if you will take a listing? Or is everybody like, I got to get this listing, I got to sign this, got to sign? No. Do you want the listing? Do you know what requirements you have on if that listing will work for you or not? Because if you don't have a standard around that, you're now jeopardizing your ROE. What about people that you're in professional partnership with? Your vendors. Do you have a standard for who you allow to become a vendor? You just kind of give any old body your business? Painter Joe, hope he works out. Okay, well, does Joe give you referrals? I don't know about y'all, but I gave Jorge about 207 names last year. Does Jorge get to stay on my list if he doesn't help me provide referrals? Probably not. Help me sponsor my events? Probably not. So have a standard for the people that you choose to go into business with. I'm jumping ahead. Let's talk about scripts really quickly. I'm a big script person. If I were to walk past you in the hallway and I would say, hi, how are you? What would you say back? What? Am I with a bunch of realtors? Meryl, I'm walking down the hallway. How are you?
I'm unbelievable.
Okay, that's a script. Okay, people are like, scripts, I don't like scripts, that sounds so salesy. Scripts are just a pattern of words that you use in a response to something, okay? So a script can be used as leverage for basic things like handing off something to your staff. When I leave a listing appointment, I set the expectation for my seller that they're gonna hear from Nikki. And Nikki is an important part of our process, and she's there to make sure that they have a 5-star experience, and she's gonna help you with the remaining paperwork to make sure we get all the details of your property right. Say it a million times. Every single time, it is a script handoff to set the expectation. Do we set the expectation for our buyers? Do we presuppose that every inspection report is going to be 732 pages, that they shall not freak out because we're looking for the elephant and not the mouse in the house? So when you get the report, I'm going to go through and comb through everything and walk through the top 10 things that I think are going to be the most important, and I'd love to hear your feedback. But that way you're not just hoping they don't overreact. You're setting a standard for how you communicate throughout all the process. Way too many pages. I'm glad I didn't remember all this. Do you have a system for doing events? So a lot of people have events, right? They'll do like a VIP pop-by, and that's great. Okay, that's cool if you have 12 clients, but what if you have 1,000? Can you stop by 1,000 houses? Probably not. What if you had a massive event and you brought all them to you? What if you rented out a movie theater and you made everybody come to you? What if you had a pie giveaway, but they came to you? You had a leaf bag drop-off, but they came to you. Provide enough value that you get to be in the flow of your clients because your ROE and your ROI on time matters. So I want to give you a couple of time and organization tools, like actual physical tools. Anybody ever use Superhuman? No. So Superhuman is like an inbox on steroids. It's like if email is your nemesis, do the research, look at Superhuman. It is a way that help you create automations, keep your inbox scheduled. You can schedule to-do tasks. It integrates with your calendar. It's like really quite amazing. Unroll Me. Anybody heard of that? Yep. Unroll Me is free. It's a plugin, I believe. It integrates into your email. It'll start training your inbox. It'll send you like a digest. You literally just click a button and you tell it what you want to unroll and it will get rid of it for you. It's amazing. Anybody heard of SaneBox? Okay, I love Sane Later. It's called SaneBox. So basically, also integrates with your email. You train it. Anything that is being emailed to you directly goes into your inbox. If you're CC'd on something, or there's like a newsletter or a coupon or whatever, it puts it into this secondary inbox because not all emails demand your priority. Not all emails are created equal. So I can literally go through at the end of the day and I'll have like 112 less important emails, and I literally can read the subject line and just kind of and delete, right? So get quick. What about the idea if you've got somebody in your organization that you need to train, or you're having the idea to leverage people? What if you downloaded the program Loom? I believe you can have a free account if you don't want to save a lot of videos. And every time you did something as microscopic as create a listing on the MLS, or write an offer, or like make an extension to your contract, you video recorded it and you created a online digital repository that you put on YouTube, and you had these little micro videos for anybody that was going to come into your world, like a VA or an assistant or a buyer's agent, or anybody that's maybe having a home helper, and now you have this repository of training materials available for them, and you didn't have to do any extra work because you had to do it already. Love that tool. Anybody that watches podcasts or watches a lot of videos, there is a plugin on Chrome called Video Speed Controller. You can't make your videos faster on YouTube, but if you like to watch a lot of content, you can basically put this plugin and kind of 1x it, 2x it, and kind of listen to it at a faster speed. And then for my project management people, Trello or Asana is a really great tool. So hopefully these are some tactical things that you guys can use. All right, process. We good on time? I'm getting close here. Okay, do you guys have a team or support staff? How do they know how you want things done? Okay, so we talked about creating a repository for them. I want you to write down these categories of your business. I want you to think about how to break your business down into sections and then methodically start to document the process for how you do things so you can make your life scalable. And maybe you don't get some of these things off your plate just yet, but at least you're thinking about it in a very tactical way, okay? So if I were to break down my business, I'd probably start with lead gen. I'd move to consulting or consults and appointments, showing property, offer writing, going under contract, due diligence period, the week of closing, post-closing, events, obtaining reviews or referrals, the hiring process, the de-hiring process, office operations, and anything that you do daily, weekly, monthly, quarterly, and annually on repeat. And then once you have those categories, you should start to think, what is my standard operating procedure for what I do in each of those buckets? It's literally just called an SOP. For an example, we have a standard operating procedure for how we handle wins in our market. Y'all remember 2022? Okay, was it crazy? Maybe until August, yeah? I don't know, we made some money, so I hope it was great for y'all. So last year, and in 2021, when there was multiple offers, everything, we had to figure out how do we leverage the opportunity from these multiple offers, because we weren't even getting the benefit of an open house or caravan. We just didn't have all the things, right? So we came up with this idea that we were gonna have a standard operating procedure for how we handled wins in the marketplace. If we had a multiple offer, what were we doing about it? If we got the highest list price, what were we doing about it? So just as a thought process, if you have something like that, do you always door knock? Do you always send a postcard? If so, to how many homes? Do you call everybody that lives in your database in that zip code to tell them about the listing that just had a massive win? Are you asking for a referral? What is your consistent plan? And that is the thought process that you should go through at every aspect of your business if you want to get out from under it. Because if it just exists in your head and it just relies on you, we're going to be showing homes till we're dead in our grave. And I don't think anybody wants that. Raise your hands if you want that. Some people might. Nope. One last thing that we do on our team, we have this concept called pass the baton. And I want you guys to think of a team being as a series of people that are running the 400-meter dash, okay? And the idea is that when somebody starts the race, they're literally like running as fast as they can all the way around the track. And they're doing their best at their job. But at some point, that part of their process is going to end, and they have to pass the baton to the next person that's going to run around the track. And in real estate, there's a lot of details that come with that. So if Ashley, for example, goes on a listing appointment, and she sits down with the seller, and she hears all of the seller's preferences and all of the things that the seller wants and the marketing pieces and blah, 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 and all the upgrades, like, great, that's good, but is Ashley also going to input the listing? Is Ashley also going to do all the paperwork? Probably not. So Ashley is going to pass the baton to our listing manager. Where our listing manager can't read Ashley's mind, right? So we do this, it's actually like a online form that Ashley will go in and pass the baton to our listing manager so Sarah Kay can pick up the baton and start running at high speed in the direction that she needs to go. So think about how do you hand off things in the process. We use a tool called Slack. We also document heavily in our CRM, and we use pass the baton forms. All right, last thing here is people. I want to give you the idea of who needs to be leveraged first, okay? People are your most important asset to your organization. It is the key to its success. So the first thing that you should be getting off your plate, if you haven't already, to all my top producer, $1 million CEOs in the room, is contract to close. Get it off your plate. If you guys do your own contract to close in this room, let's talk, okay? At best case scenario, it is a one-time fee at closing. Most of them don't have a termination fee. And if you sell your value to your client, maybe I'm stepping on toes here, maybe I shouldn't say this, why aren't your clients paying for that? Amen. Yes. Who here has heard of an FMLS fee? Do we love those? Okay, our business paid $184,000 to FMLS last year. If you're with FMLS, I'm sorry, I'm not a fan. Okay, there's no other MLS in our nation that charges this kind of money. Now, if you're a small broker owner, sorry, Greg, they don't really want you to have an opinion about that. And the Keller Williams business model, the way that we do our profit, cost of sales, and expenses does not include a line item for $184,000. It doesn't work for me. So we had to get creative. We have an admin fee. We ask our clients to pay it. 1% of the people have a problem with it. Are you leaving money on the line? Why do we all feel like we have to charge what we charge? Your CPA, your doctor, they all charge different things. Figure out what your business model is, but be able to communicate your value around it, okay? So contract to close, get it off your plate. Next thing that should get off your plate is buyer agency. I learned a long time ago I was not the person to be chit-chatting in a car on a Saturday for 3 hours. By the way, who still rides their clients in their cars? Is that a thing still? Do y'all do that? I feel like COVID killed that bird, right? Thank God, right? That's not my thing. Listing agency would be the next. Obviously, listings are leveraged. Listings are the most impactful ROI for your business, you would give that up after you give up buyers. Leading everyone would be the thing that you give up next. Maybe you put a pod leader in place. Maybe you grow a director of sales. The very last thing you should get off your plate before you get out of production completely would be lead generation. That is the heart of your business. Without leads, we do not have a business. That is what I have to say, guys. If you would like to learn more about our business or my path in real estate, if you have any follow-up questions, I'd be happy to have a cup of coffee. If everybody emails me all at once, it might take me a minute. And I don't think that'll be the case, but I'm very, very happy to help, honored to be up here. We'd love it if you guys could follow us on Instagram or find us on Facebook. I do have some roundtable questions. Anthony, are we doing that? Yep, okay. Let me read those to you guys real quick. So, like Greg had, the likelihood of you doing anything about anything is going to drop drastically if you don't take an action step in the next 48 hours. So, as we talked about all these things in leverage, I want to ask you, who are you not becoming because you're failing to let go of blank? Who are you not becoming because you are failing to let go of blank? What's the opportunity cost for you? What are you like, I gotta do the thing because it's me, or whatever? Who is missing out on an opportunity to grow because you won't get out of the way? If you could let go of X, what would that do for your family or your life? And what tool, boundary, or tactic, person, process, mindset would immediately increase your ROE? That might be firing that client. You know which one. That might be just getting a hold of your inbox. Go Google on YouTube Inbox Zero. There's this great little guy that does this like 20-minute video on how to get your inbox down to zero. And for me, that was like a 500 email deep situation. So I hope this has been helpful for you guys. I have loved being up here. I feel like I took way too much time. But I enjoyed hearing myself speak. So thank y'all.